Donald Trump is going to be the 47th President of the United States, and we're going to have to be prepared for what's to come. Project 2025 is the plan for a second Trump term. Let's compare the content with some of Trump's promises from his last campaign and see what's in store for America and the world. Thankfully, the Midas Touch Network, an independent news organization from the United States, has compiled a list of all 93 campaign promises Trump made. Let's take a look. We're starting with budget and taxes. Okay. First point, no taxes on tips. We're already going to have to stop and clear some things up. So, this was actually a policy during Trump's first administration. It was part of a bill that didn't get passed by the House or Senate. Why, you might ask? Well, because they are kind of neglecting to tell you the second, much more important half of the no tax on tips policy, and that is that business owners can claim the tips of their workers. So if you voted for Donald Trump's because you don't want any tax on your tips, well, guess what? Your manager or business owner can probably take your tips away from you now anyway, so guess you don't have to pay taxes on them though. The rest of Trump's tax plan is basically just stock standard, conservative, Republican, cut the taxes, cut the budget, especially disproportionately for the ultra wealthy. So we're not really going to touch a lot on that, but the big part that I do want to touch on is cutting the federal budget by 1/3. Let's be honest with ourselves. That's not coming out of the military budget. That's coming out of Social Security and other programs like infrastructure and Medicare. It is not coming out of the largest military budget in the entire world. It's disproportionately going to harm the lower and middle income families. The rest of the tax plan, not very interesting. Immigration. So, immigration is a big issue in the United States, and Trump has promised that he is going to deport 20 million immigrants using the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. That is going to cripple the American economy if he even is capable of deporting 20 million people. The thing that is a little bit more terrifying to me personally is that he has promised to end birthright citizenship via executive order. I don't really know how he is going to do that because birthright citizenship is part of the 14th Amendment, which was implemented post-slavery. So not exactly sure how he plans to do that, but he has promised that he was going to do that. So I guess goodbye 14th Amendment. Yeah, he's promised once again to rebuild or continue to build his border wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Still not entirely sure how that is intended to stop illegal immigration from happening, but he has said that that's going to happen. Aside from that, he's also reinstating his Remain in Mexico policy, which again was part of his first administration, and reinstate the travel ban, which was part of his first administration, where there was a travel ban for Muslim majority nations for people coming into America from those countries. Next is the domestic policy. Honestly, this is basically all meaningless fluff, but let's go through it anyway. He's going to construct 10 new anarchy cities, free of all government regulations of any kind. Yeah. That's not going to happen. He's promised that there will be no EV mandates. I mean, he was just purchased by Elon Musk, so that's going away. He's promised to create a digital bank currency. Basically, this would cripple the American economy. If you are interested, I can absolutely go through that at a later date and explain why a crypto bank in the United States would effectively destroy the American dollar and cripple their economy. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. But the domestic policy has a lot to do with homelessness. The Republicans don't care about the homeless. Sorry, homeless people. Um, yeah, they are much more interested in deporting illegal immigrants. They are not going to be building a federal tent city for the homeless people that they are arresting because they're going to be making it a criminal offense to be homeless. Listen, Elon Musk is never getting to the moon, let alone Mars. He promised that we would already be there back in, like, I don't know, 2020. Maybe it was all the way back in 2017. It's not happening. Sorry, Elon. Yeah, build national monuments. Just fluff. This one is quite interesting. Creating a federal task force to combat anti-Christian bias. One of the recurring themes of Project 2025 is this idea of Christian persecution in America. What they actually are coming for is the separation of church and state. We'll get to that in a little bit when we talk about the education policy. He's promised that IVF will be covered with no out-of-pocket cost to parents, but we know that since the termination of Roe v. Wade, that IVF is actually not guaranteed in any state at the moment. This is another big fluff thing. They talk a lot about drug addicts. We all know that Republicans they don't care about drug addicts. So that's going to be wonderful. Yeah. More fluff, creating a White House task force, a year of festivities. Yeah. The Fascist Festival, let's go. American State Fair, more fluff. Patriot Games, this is also fluff. The next kind of big, important item that he's promised is having the U.S. opt out of the Paris Climate Accords. Again, this is something that he did as part of his first administration, which the Biden-Harris administration undid. Yeah, we are once again going to live in a world where the largest polluter in the world doesn't care. All right, next we're going to talk about some education promises that Donald Trump has made. He's promised to abolish the Department of Education. Again, this aligns perfectly with the mandate in Project 2025, where they are attempting to dismantle the systems that benefit children, specifically children of minority groups, so blacks, Hispanics, LGBTQ youths. These are all the Department of Education being abolished would disproportionately damage all of those communities. He's also promised to seize endowments of universities who have DEI programs. Basically, this means that he will take money from any university that is trying to implement fair and equitable programs for their students and give it to universities that are not. This is another method to control the system in such a way that the federal government can dictate and dismantle the separation of church and state again. The next really important thing, again, part of the dismantling of the separation of church and state, is introducing Bible study and school prayer into public schools. So not Catholic schools, public schools. Again, they're coming for your First Amendment, America. The other extremely important item in their education policy, in the Trump administration education policy, is where's the accreditors one? Here it is. So all higher level education accreditors will be replaced with Trump loyalists. This is part of the Trump administration's Schedule F executive order, which aims to replace some 50,000 federal employees who are experts in their field with Trump loyalists. This essentially allows the Trump administration to control what is taught at any university or any high school. And if they disagree with the federal government on certain issues, then they will not be given a university status or high school status, and students will not be allowed to participate in the programs. The foreign policy and national defense, again, this is a lot of fluff. Yeah. So the one thing, this is the only thing that I can tell that the Midas Touch Network actually got wrong in this document. Trump promised to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of being elected, not taking office. That's already passed and he's already failed, so yeah, I guess that one can just go back to being meaningless fluff. This one is hilarious. He wants to create an Iron Dome missile defense system to protect the entirety of the US. If anyone's interested, I would love to do a deep dive into why this is a profoundly stupid idea and why it works for Israel but cannot realistically ever work in the United States. Again, it's meaningless fluff. Oh, do you remember when I said that he wasn't going to cut the defense budget? Guess what? They're cutting the federal budget by 1/3 and somehow also increasing the defense spending. Wow. Wonder how he's going to manage that one. And the last thing I really want to talk about is his tariff policy. This is actually the only thing that really changes or is significantly different from the Project 2025 plan. Trump has promised to put a 10% tariff on all foreign imports. The plan in Project 2025 was to dismantle most tariffs and also reduce taxes because they are innately inflationary. And the one thing that I can agree on with the ultra-conservatives is that inflation is generally bad. So yeah, that is about it for the interesting things that Donald Trump has promised and how dangerous they are going to be for the American people. Oh, you know what? There's actually exactly one thing that I am supportive of in the Donald Trump plan, and that is building new nuclear power plants. That would be wonderful. It's never going to happen, though, mostly because he promised $1 billion to the oil and gas companies so that they could write any executive orders that they want. And the oil and gas companies are never going to approve new nuclear power plants because it is counter to their own self-interests. Yeah. So if anyone wants me to do a deeper dive on any of the topics that we've looked at today, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, see y'all.